13th. Welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner. We have got just a bevy of high school football knowledge, sports knowledge in this place today. Might be the most knowledge we've had in one place at one time. And that's including Ashley Mosley, co-host today. Ashley knows more than I forgot. No, wait a minute. Ashley's forgot more than I know.
Bevy, that's a SAT
bevy.
word.
Yeah, it's not a big word.
Like
but
Harkin was
it
last
doesn't get
week.
used a whole lot. A plethora of knowledge. How about that?
There you go.
I learned that on the Three Stooges. That was an old Three Stooges episode.
I got you.
We got
You
Coach
do
Chuck Martin with us
favor-
today.
You favor Curly a little bit.
I thought it was, curly. I shaved my head, yeah.
Yeah.
Coach Chuck Martin, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you,
Thank
Coach.
Coach Dave McLeod, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Man, we're going to have some good times today. We're going to talk about some new stuff, some old stuff, some barred stuff, some blue stuff. I just made that up. Sounded pretty good, didn't
Yeah,
it?
man.
We're not getting married today, though. We do want to thank our sponsors, though, because without them, we would not have this marriage that we call Sports Talk.
We would not.
National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, the losses of John Drew Warlick, CNS Paint, Ron Choate, Victor Case, Onslow County Motor Company, Fountain Management, Sandra Fountain, Wismart, Chappie's Chicken, Great Gas and Oil, Bartley Insurance Services, Bill Mercer, Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Rock Creek Golf and Country Club, Golden Corral, Lane Associates Family Dentistry, Doctors Tommy and Kim Morgan, Jones Onslow EMC, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, Southern Touch Painting, Barnes Diamond Gallery, and of course Bayshore Animal Hospital with their new location at 623 East Saviston Drive in Swansboro. Thank you to Helen's Kitchen today. We went different the last 2 weeks. We went cheeseburgers last week. This week it's BLTs, baby. Things were good, weren't they?
Yeah.
The BLG
Did you guys enjoy them?
today. Yes.
Thank you to Billy Grissett and Helen's Kitchen for the BLTs today. We have our Hurricane Watch coming up, sponsored by Downey's Heating and Air Conditioning and Jason Humphrey in the gang. Hurricanes have picked it up a little this week. That's good. We'll talk about that coming up. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everybody wave to the YouTube world out there. The whole world is watching right now. And watch the shows, the previous shows at YouTube at WSME Radio. Catch the show on our Facebook page at Freedom 97.1 WSME. And, of course, you can find all your favorite on-demand sports talk podcasts and stream the station live at our website at WSME971.com. As you hear, my voice is going in and out. 1 minute it sounds like I'm going through puberty. Next minute it sounds like I'm Barry White. So it's a little bit of both. So I've got that, what is it, the Coastal Carolina sinus phlegm? Has anybody else had it yet? Well, in the last week we've had, let's see, temperatures in the teens. We've had temperatures in the 70s, rain, wind. So it's all that kind of stuff that time of the year. It's also the time of year, the most wonderful time of the year. And I'm surprised Ashley hadn't sung that yet. You know you love to sing it.
Love it.
All right, you looking forward to that Cardinals game tonight?
Sure am.
It's going to be a big one, isn't it?
What's the weather going to be tonight? Anybody got any idea?
It's going to be chilly, but not as chilly as last week, I don't think. Speaking of which, Hollywood hates when I put him right on the mic without giving him warning. So, warning. Oh, you're ready for me, aren't you? You got the mic hot, don't you?
I'm ready.
Last Friday night, what was it like? Were you in the warmth of the booth at Havelock, or were you out in the cold?
No, we were not. We were
Nobody
not.
was in the warmth?
Nobody.
No, sir.
No, so
Wouldn't
we
let
were,
us up there.
we were on the stoop right outside the booth, and it was cold.
How cold was it?
It was about 28, wind chill about 23. Wow. Yeah.
Well, tonight's projected to
cold.
be 57, so it'll be balmy. Well, I'm sorry, 57 high today. 39 will be the low, so that's balmy compared to last week.
Yep.
Maybe that wind won't be
But
kicking too bad.
the excitement of the game and the wind warmed us up, baby.
Well, without
You know?
further ado, while you're on the mic, tell us the starting times and everything. It'll be the Cardinals at Fayetteville 71st, correct?
That's right. And for the East Regional Playoff Championship game of the State 3A State High School Football Championships. And 7 o'clock is the pregame, a little bit later than normal. Kickoff at 7:30. Of course, followed by the Golden Corral postgame report. We're counting. It's going to be a good report. And the whole crew, the whole broadcast team will be on hand with Jerry Allen and Bob Warlick and Ashley. And we're so excited tonight, man. This is the kids of the Cardinals and the whole community very excited, rallying around this moment, hopefully in Cardinal history. So there you go.
And man, I wanted to go so bad. I wanted to be able to ride with Ashley, my buddy Ashley. But duty calls at Southwest High School. We're playing the Richlands Wildcats. Some of us have started playing basketball. Haven't got that long playoff run like the Cardinals do this year. So playing the Wildcats tonight. So unfortunately, I'm stuck there with my duties at the high school. But man, y'all gonna have a good time, aren't you, Ashley?
Yeah, and you can tell Bob Warlick if he's not listening. We will be in the press box. Got a little space in the press box.
So they've got y'all a place this week.
Yeah.
That's good. Looking at last week, let's start off with that. I'll get you guys' opinion. First of all, who all went to the game? I know you went, Ashley. I know you went, Hollywood. Coach Martin, did you go, or did you
I listened.
listen on the radio? How about you, Coach
No,
McLeod?
I didn't make it.
Cardinals at Havelock. One of those years where it's the classic, I'm going to play you in the regular season and lose to you, and I'm going to whoop you in the playoff. And that's basically what happened, wasn't it? Tell us a little bit about the game, either one of you guys that, listened or were there.
Well, I'll tell you this. I talked to some of the players after that first game with Havelock. They said, "Coach, we're confident. Next time we play them, we can win." And they were correct. They put on a good show.
It was 14-0 after the first 60 seconds of the ball game.
I heard the opening kickoff. The way it sounded on the radio sounded like a muff, which you can't advance. But apparently he caught it and ran a little bit, which once he fumbles it in, you can't advance it.
Yeah.
And I guess he fumbled it back in the end zone anyway, didn't he?
Yeah, and then
He was all over the place with that thing.
And then the first play from scrimmage, Eric Griffin went, 65 yards on the jet sweep pitch and scored 14-0. Halftime was 28-21 Havelock. First possession, Jacksonville in the second half. June takes it 85 yards. The second time he touched it, I think he took it 75 yards. And the third time he touched it, I think he took it 75 yards again. So he had rushed for 190 yards on 3 carries and 3 touchdowns.
It was the first play of each
That's
series,
not bad.
right?
Yeah, it was one touch on each series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know, maybe the Rams had a bet on his stats for the game. A prop bet or something. But buddy, he 190 yards on 3 carries, 3 plays in a row.
Scored.
That's crazy.
That's legendary stuff.
That is the.
That's great.
You got to talk about that, and I learned this from Coach Martin. You got to say a whole lot about that Jacksonville offensive line too.
Well, they've improved considerably from
They
the
really
first
have.
time that I
Tanner
saw
Jones
them.
is coming on strong.
Absolutely,
He's getting a whole lot better.
the
I think he's
entire
gonna be a
line.
monster by
It
the
has
time
changed.
by the time
They're
he's
playing
a
with
senior.
some confidence. They're moving. They're coming off the ball. They're moving people. They're creating seams, holes for the running backs, giving the quarterback a little more protection than they had in the past. So that's a big plus, and it's a great. It's part of the reason why they're winning. A big part.
It is. It sure is. And you got that talented running back who can also play linebacker, Damon June. And Coach Bo's defense has held 2 good schools scoreless in the second half. Burlington and Williams didn't score.
Well, I didn't realize they didn't score in the second half.
No, they didn't.
I know Havelock did. Yeah.
Havelock didn't score in the second half either. So that's hats off to Coach Bo Williams, his defensive team and strategy. Because I don't think there's a better defensive football coach in high school than North Carolina than Bo Williams. That's just my opinion.
Does a great job.
The halftime score was well. First of all, you said it was 14-0 before you batted an eye.
It was.
What was it in the first 5 minutes? First couple of minutes?
First 2 minutes, it was 14.
Yeah, just the way it works out sometimes.
Right, and
Jacksonville
then-
jumped all over, but then of course Havelock being
Came back.
the caliber they are, come roaring back.
They're leading the halftime 28-21.
28-21, and it almost looked like it was going to be another one of those whoever gets the ball last type
Right.
thing. Well, apparently it was, but not in the way we thought it was going to be.
Well, they just-
So looking at let's put my meager math skills to work here. 35 unanswered points in the second half.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. Yep, 35 unanswered
Right.
points, and held the Havelock Rams to a goose egg, which, man, that's doing something right there.
It
A
is.
lot of people talk so much about the Cardinal offense, but that defense
Absolutely,
made the
exactly
adjustments
right.
at halftime and shut them
Exactly.
down.
they did that.
What was the Do you have anything to add there,
I was
Coach?
going to say, if you can hold Havelock to nothing at their place in the second half, and you ask the question, you think they have a chance Friday night? I don't care who they're playing.
Oh yeah.
Says a lot.
They
Well,
had a
they-
good opportunity tonight.
Well, the old saying is, defense wins championships.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
No
then
doubt.
you got somebody like Damon June in the backfield who's an absolute stud. I've noticed one thing about him. I don't know whether you were there with me the other night. When he gets mad, and he'll get mad, and you can tell he's mad.
By the way he runs, I saw that
I
in
just
the
think
game
he takes it
against
to another
Cape
level.
Fear.
When you do something to tick him off, I mean, it just goes to another level with him.
There have been players I know in both of our careers that you got to get them. You got to know which button to push.
Right.
He must be one of those.
Yeah.
Well, he plays pretty good without that button on, but when, like you said, when he turns it on, I remember against Cape Fear, he had a couple runs in the second half where it just seemed like the knees were kicking higher, and they'd go to grab at him and he was pulling away, and you know what I mean?
He runs almost like he seems to be telling the defensive player, "I want you to try to tackle me."
Please give it a whirl.
And Coach, you've been to state championship games before in the past and had some success. Do you change your practices any going up to the playoff games or a big game like this? What do you do?
Well,
Anything different?
for
Just
the
keep
state
going?
championship, it's changed somewhat because there's the media that takes some of your time. There's people that want to talk to you as a coach, and they
Right.
take some of your time. And it seemed to me that you just didn't have as much time. David's been there for the state championship game. You try and get them really focused, but they're thinking about other things. And of course, they want to win that state championship, but you've got to really try and keep them focused. That's a fact.
Right.
Now, Coach McLeod, you're no stranger to coaching in state championship games. Of course, as an assistant with Southwest, tell us about the difference in the weeks. I mean, obviously, you probably saw Coach Padgett a little less that week, didn't you? Because of media obligations. Of course, having to go up to Chapel Hill one day for the media day.
Look, we would, most of the time it was held at NC State, and we would make it back for practice. We didn't miss practice, and if we played on Saturday, which I think every time I was there,
Yep.
we just got an extra day of practice, which was Friday, but nothing was ever different. If he had anything to do that dealt with the state championship, it was done outside of practice right at another time. We try to keep everything the same.
But we got to get by tonight before we.
Oh, yeah. We're just talking about in general.
Yeah,
and
in general.
And one point we want to make is a lot of times people don't realize how hard a state championship run is. You got to have a little luck.
Absolutely.
You got to have a lot of talent. And it's not always the talented teams that get there. It's the way they put it, forth the effort in the playoffs. And this Cardinal team just seems to have that extra gear now, don't they? 12-1 now.
Chris, one other thing is escaping injuries, keeping
Yeah.
players healthy. That is so important to go on a championship run.
Oh, yeah. You can ask Coach Durham that. He knows from experience. Tell us that story about the state championship game in 1980 where his quarterback, last play of the first half, goes back. He's trying to bite off a little more right before the half. Of course, he says now, obviously hindsight was 20/20, he'd have took a knee and gone to the half. But his quarterback gets his shoulder broken. And then, you're
Coop.
Yep, Coop. You're behind, or as Coach Durham says, Cupper. He would say Cupper. You're behind the 8 ball in the second half without your quarterback, and that's probably what cost them that state championship game. That injury. Yeah, I mean, you can look at it both ways, though. What would have happened if you scored a touchdown on the last play of the game or the first half? Then things work out. So you got to go for it, and that's what he did, and it ended up hurting. Of course, they come back in 1982, win the state championship. That's the last state championship at Jacksonville, and that even emphasizes more how important the state championship is and how, prized a possession it is. It's tough to do,
People,
man.
it really
It's very
is.
difficult.
It really is. That's the reason I want people to savor this opportunity. The community is big
Enjoy
time
the
for
ride.
them. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
you never know what's going to happen tonight. Hopefully they can win and go on to Carter Finley Stadium next
Stay
Saturday. But Coach McLeod, you were an assistant at Southwest. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school at Harness Central. It's about 8 miles from Campbell University.
I got you. And you played ball there, obviously.
Yes, sir.
What position did you play? Running back.
I played running back. I played some slot, and I played defensive back.
Both ways.
Both ways, all the time.
At what point did you know you weren't destined for the NFL and it was time to head to coaching?
It was a backpedal drill at East Carolina, the first month of practice. And once I got into, I can't think of his name now, the doctor that was there, the team doctor. I'd already passed 2 physicals, and I'd had shoulder surgery and knee surgery my senior year in high school. And I passed both these physicals, so when I went in after my knee gave out, Coach Dye later Pat Dye asked me if I wanted to be a manager, and I said, no, sir. And so I just hung on with the team. And he left, and dreams changed. And after a 1.5 GPA, Daddy said, "You're coming home to work." So I finished at Campbell. But,
Did
yeah.
And of course, they didn't have a football team back then.
No.
If they would have, that'd have been a prime place to play.
Oh,
Wouldn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
We have so many Eastern North Carolina players that got their start at Campbell because when they're building a program, the opportunities are a little more available. I'm hoping UNCW will have that opportunity one day. You think they'll ever get a football team down there?
You never know.
You guys are around a circle of stuff. What's the holdup down there? What have you heard?
I don't know. It's the money people aren't coming across and pledging the support for what they need for the university to have a good football program or even get it started. That's what I understand.
Well, I've heard all kinds of wild things. Everything's from there's a person that has an endowment there that his son got paralyzed in a football accident, and that's why they don't want to do it. I've heard those crazy stories. The thing I've heard that makes the most sense though is what's the thing where it's equal opportunity for women's sports? Is it Title
IX.
I've heard that because UNCW is such a lady predominant school, it's like 70-30 female to males.
Wow.
That it's something to do with the sports programs there, that if you put that much money towards football, you'd have to do that much towards women's sports. And that's a lot to go both ways, you know what I mean? So maybe
It is. Like I say,
I'm sure
you
some
have to have the money,
Yeah.
the pledges, and the support behind the people to start it.
Getting back to your time in East Carolina, was the team doctor, was it Dr. Ira Hardy? Do you remember?
That's not the name.
Okay.
I can't think of it to save my life.
And who was the coach after Pat Dye left there?
Ed Emery.
Ed Emery came
Yeah.
in. We were talking with Coach Ellis Dillahunt last week. He came in, I think he was under Emery, didn't he say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art Baker, Ed Emery, Art Baker, and
Yeah. Art Baker finished up.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, what was your first coaching gig?
Harnett Central.
Back
Actually,
to-
where I played
back to your roots there?
after I got my mess together. After a year of working, decided I didn't want to work in a ditch, shoveling dirt the rest of my life. My high school coach, Phil Farrell, caught me. I was at a baseball game watching my cousin play, and I knew Coach Farrell. It was the first time I'd seen him since I'd been home. And I was trying to get away from there. I knew what was coming, and he called my name out loud after the game. So I, like a dog with his head stuck between his legs, I come walking back up, and he asked me all these questions about the GPA and why you home and this and that. And are you going to do that work the rest of your life? And he asked me a question: where do you love to be more than any other place in the world? And I was standing on the outfield of the baseball field where we practiced football at the time. And I said, right here. And he said, well, then you need to be a coach. And I said, in North Carolina, I'd have to teach, wouldn't I? And I said, I spent most of my time in your office in high school trying to get out of class. And so he probed me along the way. He's the reason I got into coaching. And so he taught me into transferring to Campbell. And getting my teaching degree. And so I went in for physical education teaching. And while I was there, I coached with him. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth on coaching. I had worked with that year that I was working in the afternoons. I helped the rec team that year, and I really enjoyed it. And that summer, I helped coach a girls softball team. And so I enjoyed passing along what knowledge, what little bit I had, and then that's what I wanted to be. I knew when I went back to Campbell and got my degree, I knew what I wanted to do, and so my GPA shot back up. I started studying. And
Funny
so,
how once you see that purpose, yeah.
You had a goal. You had a goal.
yeah, and that's why over the years, and we try to tell kids, figure out what it is that you want to do, because one day, if it's like if it's a football player, whatever time it's going to be, it was my freshman year, the first month, it was over for me. So what do you want to do before you think you're going to go play football or go play sports?
And you knew you were hooked. And we're going to talk more about your career and Coach Martin's career, of course. We'll be right back on Sports Talk. Hey, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner, co-host Ashley Mosley. Thank you, Ashley, for being with us today.
Thank you, buddy.
Chuck Martin, head coach, former coach of the Cardinals and other places. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, sir.
Dave McLeod, head coach, assistant coach, a little bit of everything over the years. Did you ever, were you athletic director too, Dave?
Yeah.
Where were you athletic director at?
Harnett Central, and when Phil retired,
There
I
at
took
Southwest.
over at Southwest before I retired, just a year and a half.
Now, what was we were talking, getting to your coaching experience before. What was your first actual head coaching gig?
At Dixon, my third year, and I was a third year teacher, and I was too young, but I became the head coach.
By too young, what do you mean?
I was just too
You weren't
young.
ready for it?
No, I was not ready for that.
I didn't know if you were like 19 years old and they just threw you to the wolves or whatever.
No, I was 26, and I was
Still
too
wanting to
young.
play.
Yeah.
And then you left there and went to Southwest, right? As an
No,
assistant,
well,
right?
I
somewhere in between.
To an answer a while ago, I kind of in a circle. I left Dixon, went to East Carolina as a graduate assistant, and I worked under Coach Richard Bell, who Coach Martin played for at West Virginia, and that was the connection. So I went and worked with Coach Martin for a couple of years, and probably would have stayed for a longer stay, but when your high school coach calls you and asks you, do you want to come home and be the athletic director and head football coach, you know, a lot of coaches would say yes. And I jumped at that, did it for 4 years, and my wife got homesick, so we came back, and I went right back in. I was at a Jacksonville playoff game. I think it was in Fayetteville. And that's when I met the new principal, Bill Kelly. And Tony Savonar introduced me, and I was able to come back and work with Coach Martin for another 2 years. Dixon called me and asked me if I wanted to come back to Dixon.
That was your second stint at Dixon. That's the one I was thinking
Dixon,
of. Okay.
yeah. And that's when I ended up with Coach Padgett.
That's we got a hotline coming in. So, man, kind of been all over the place.
Yeah, kind of round and about, but
But one thing that everybody I talk to that says the same thing, said, man, that dude can break down some film. Are you the film guru?
well, that ended up being that way. But I learned from Coach Martin and the guys at East Carolina. That was those 3 years, and then when I went back with Coach Martin, I mean, I learned a lot of football. In the 4 years I was at Harnett Central, I learned so much from he was my assistant. He was my co-head coach, Alan Bunch. I learned a whole lot from him that helped me as well. So,
Well, I'm sure Coach Martin's got a couple of stories to share. We were talking about off the air about how we like, some of us like to snore a little bit. You said Coach had a certain snore pattern, didn't he?
Well, we'd go to coaching clinics, and we'd have to toss the coin to see who was going to sleep with Coach McLeod, because I'm telling you what, that man could snore. But if you got unlucky and you lost the flip, you had to stay with Coach McLeod. And we always put our tennis shoes up on the bed, and when Coach McLeod would start snoring, we start throwing our shoes at Coach McLeod to get him to wake up so he wouldn't rattle the walls.
I had two uncles like that. We would go to races for years, and you share a room, you know, and the one that slept with the one that snored like a chainsaw, the one that slept in the same room with him happened to be a phone repairman, or worked at the phone company, so he knew that there was cotton inside them old phones. I don't know if you know it or not. When you unscrewed the thing, there was cotton in there to absorb some of the sound. Woke up the next morning, he had both of those cotton things from the phone stuck in his ear.
Let me tell you something. My grandmama, bless her soul, I never was worried about anybody trying to break in or burglarize her home at nighttime. She was asleep, because she would scare anything in the world away with a snore she would do.
Wasn't that bad?
My God. Yeah.
Wow. Now, Coach Martin, you're no stranger to the state championship realm either. You had the run, of course, in '94. Now, before that, you started in West Virginia, correct?
I did.
Tell us, remind everybody again where you went to high school, how you got started in coaching and everything.
Okay, I went to Big Creek High School in War, West Virginia. It's the southernmost city in the state, and I played football, basketball, and ran track. And I wasn't a real good athlete, but I knew at a young age that I wanted to coach.
You played defensive back at West Virginia. That's pretty
Well,
good.
no, I didn't play. I was a walk-on, and I serviced the
Well, that's even tougher. being a
first and
walk-on.
second offense, and they just beat the crap out of me.
Those walk-ons.
So you were the
they got it
Rudy of
bad, buddy.
West Virginia High School.
Yeah,
West
I did.
Virginia
I did a little
University.
DB and actually played some quarterback on the scout team. But Coach Bobby Bowden was at West Virginia, and
A
so
lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, he cut his teeth.
oh yeah,
there,
that's where he really got his start. And so I went to WVU and became a walk-on. Had a separated shoulder, kind of like Dave. Got injured there, and the coaches were really good to me. They let me come in the office and watch film with them. They knew that I wanted to coach, and as a matter of fact, Coach Bowden recommended me for my first job at Bluefield High School in Bluefield, West Virginia. And fortunately, that first year at Bluefield, we won the state championship of West Virginia.
Wow.
But I'll just take you from there. I went to, after 5 years at Bluefield, I went to Marshall University with Sonny Randall. And Bob Pruitt, who was the defensive coordinator at that time and won a national championship at Marshall, was the one that brought me into college coaching. But also, I was a part-timer at University of North Carolina and also coached at Ohio University in college. But I've been a head coach in high school for 4 different teams, as a matter of fact.
So you, like a lot of coaches, you cut your teeth in a lot of different places.
Yes, I
Get that
did
experience, and
40 years.
you saw it, in your walk-on days that it was time to switch to coaching, and did very well with it. Now you talked about your time at Marshall. Was that before or after the?
That was
the
10.
tragedy?
That was 10 years afterwards.
10 years afterwards. Okay.
Yes, I can remember that
Yeah, because
day.
that was there a lot earlier.
I was at WVU and we were playing at University of Kentucky that day of that plane crash, and it was about 6 o'clock or so, and we were going downtown to get a bite to eat and party a little bit, what you do on Saturday night. And some kids were coming back up the street and said, "Did you hear about the plane crash?" What plane crash? They think the Marshall plane went down. And sure enough, we go back to the dorm. It's on TV, and what a tragic thing.
And
We
almost
had
made-
friends and
almost made it
coaches.
home. He almost made it back. Isn't that sad? Right outside
But I was
the
there for the
airport.
10th anniversary, and it's a sad occasion,
Oh, man.
celebrating the
I've
tragedy.
seen the
but-
memorial and everything they have there. It's a really good thing they've done there. The Circle Memorial and the
Right.
for the
Absolutely.
the players and coaches. that
But the
passed
program
on.
has come a long way. They were
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
about doing away with the program at that time. And you saw the movie,
Oh yeah.
We Are Marshall.
I
And
know
they
you-
had won, national championships at the 1AA level. What'd you say,
Yeah.
Ashley?
That's what I was telling you about. Bob Pruitt
Oh, yeah.
won that national championship
Yeah.
at Marshall.
Well, didn't you coach with Sonny Randall somewhere?
I did, at Marshall,
Okay.
yes.
He was a head coach of East Carolina for a while. Sonny
And
Randall.
University of Virginia.
And remind everybody too about your high school coaching career here in North Carolina. We know about West Virginia. You told us, but what are some of the schools you coached with here in North Carolina?
Well, my first head job was Vance Senior High School, and it was a great opportunity for me. It was my first head football job. I had tremendous players, and we were up in the Raleigh-Durham area playing those schools, and I had fine
Chapel
athletes.
Hill, Oxford, all those.
Well, we played, just Kenny Browning at Northern Durham had a great team, Roxborough Person, and so on. But that was an excellent experience for me there, and I'll never forget those players. They were pretty darn good. But I was a head football coach at Laney High School in Wilmington, and obviously the head football coach at Jacksonville for 14 years. I came in 1988, taking over for Coach Durham, and Coach Durham really got the football program going at Jacksonville High School and got the winning tradition started.
And of course, in '94, you guys had a magical run all the way to the state championship game. Remind us a little bit about that team. Obviously, a buddy of mine, Chris Williams, was your running back.
Yes.
Remind us again about. Actually, we're going to touch on that when we come back. We're
Okay.
going to take another
All right.
quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about that.
Okay.
The Cardinal team in 1994. We'll be
Right.
right back on Sports Talk. All right, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner. Time for Hurricanes Watch. Hurricanes are, excuse me, on a roller coaster season, up and down. They lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game. But if you start out the season, 20-4 or something like that, then you can stand a little stretch of 500 ball. But hopefully, ball. I say ball. There ain't no ball in hockey, is there? That rolling puck. But hopefully they can keep it going. Thank you to Jason Humphrey and the gang for sponsoring our Hurricanes Watch, Downey's Heating and Air. The Hurricanes, since we last met, last Saturday night they lost 4-3 at New York to the Islanders, which a lot of people thought they'd roll in there and just crush the Islanders because the Islanders haven't been playing that well and the Hurricanes are playing well. Then Tuesday night, the Hurricanes won 3-2 over San Jose, the Sharks. San Jose Sharks, that just doesn't resonate somehow. I guess you can. I don't know if you have any Sharks in San Jose, but tonight the Canes will play the Ottawa Senators in Lenovo Center up in Raleigh. So if you get a chance, go see the Canes play tonight. If you can't go to the football game, go see the Canes play. You ever been to a game before, Coach McLeod?
Have not. How'd you know to ask that question?
I ask it to everybody after Hurricanes Watch. Coach Martin, you said you've been before.
I have.
It
I
is
have,
an
yes.
exciting little thing.
It really is, yes.
They market it well. They have a lot of good stuff there. So go check out your Canes. Support the only team in North Carolina ever to win a world title. I mean, the Panthers obviously have been twice, lost twice. I don't think the Hornets have gotten past the second round of the playoffs ever, have they?
I'll tell it later, but I got a story about when the Hurricanes won the Stanley
Well,
Cup.
go ahead and tell us right now.
I'm
Finish
in,
up the Hurricane
I'm
Watch.
in Buffalo, New York, in the hospital with diverticulitis of all
Oh,
things.
no.
I know you're not
That doesn't
supposed to
sound
say
fun.
words you can't spell, but Buffalo is. I don't know what's the name of the hockey team.
Sabres.
Or the Sabres. That's
They're
who
a
they
hockey
beat.
town, yeah.
That's who the Hurricanes beat. And I realized at the time how bad the sports, the fan, how hungry they are for a championship. They lose 4 Super Bowls
Oh,
in
yeah.
a row.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like there's a story that I can't tell, but I don't remember all the details. There's a story about something that happened at a World State Fair that was held there in Buffalo that a lot of bad luck had something to do with one of the presidents. And they think they've been cursed and they can't win a Super Bowl. They can't win a, Stanley Cup or what have you. But, I did not say, after I realized how upset they were that they lost to the Carolina Hurricanes.
A Southern team.
I never told them where I was from.
Well, it's so
I
funny
wanted to
because
get out of there.
for years, the northern teams and the Canadian teams turned their nose up at the southern hockey teams.
Yeah.
But man, the last few years, you had the Panthers win, the Tampa Bay team win, the Hurricanes won back in 2006. So it's been a little bit of a dry run since, and hopefully they can get back to the Stanley Cup here this year. Right now, they need a goaltender. Are you a good goaltender?
No.
Because I think right now they're taking applications off the street,
Only if I
buddy.
laid down, that's the only way.
Well, yeah, I could stop I could do half the net probably. But thank you again to Jason Humphrey and Downey's Heating Air for sponsoring the Hurricanes Watch. Before we get to our next break, Coach, talk to us a little bit more about that 94 team.
Okay, the first thing I want to do, I want to share with you that Coach David McLeod is absolutely one of the best assistant coaches, if not
I
the
know
best.
that. I've seen him in action.
That I've ever had. There's no one that worked harder, more dependable, or more loyal than Coach McCleod. He worked well with the players. The players loved him. He did what it took to win, whatever the job, or how long it was, or 7 days a week, 12 o'clock at night. It didn't make any difference. We did what we thought it would take to win. And I was just blessed to have David, and I think of him like a brother, and I really love him. But going back to that state championship run in '94, we had a young man by the name of Sean Wilson. Wasn't very big, 5'8", maybe 155, but what heart and leadership came from Sean. He could run the ball, he could throw the ball, he could do it all. And we had Big Chris Williams, who's now coaching at Southwest, as our running back, and he was a very, very physical young man. Also,
How
we
tall
had
do you reckon Chris is?
6'2",
6'2", yeah.
at
He
least
just
6'.
looks like, when you look at him, he looks more like a basketball player. Obviously, coaches basketball,
Yeah.
so that gives you that impression. But
Yeah, he's
man,
an intimidating looking
he was a
young
tough
man.
running back. Wasn't
He really was. We had a tight end by the name of Robert Stroud who did just a tremendous job. Boy, you can count on him for blocking, and when you throw the ball, he's going to catch it. We had 3 good receivers that year. We had Theron Wigfall, who was probably 6'3", 160, but boy, you put the ball up and he'd come down with it. Unfortunately, he didn't have the grades to go to college, but he's one of the best receivers that ever crossed the goal line at Jacksonville High School. Terry Rambert and Wesley Durden also played for me at wide receiver. And that particular year, we were able to throw the ball and run the ball. You have those years where you count on the run more so than the pass, but that year we could throw the ball. As far as linemen, that year we had J.R. Jones and Chris Jarman, who did a really good job for us. Adam Maletti did a good job on the offensive line. And then on defense, we had a linebacker by the name of Mike Rayner, who would just run through you. Again, not very big. 176 pounds, coach, 5'10", but what a physical, tough young man. And that's what you need for these state championship teams. We had Jarrell Dell, who went to UNC at outside linebacker, did a great job for us. Defensive lineman, we had Ronnie Holman and Matt Comstock led the way for us. And defensive back, one of the best we had that year was Sammy Rogers, who's a coach now for the Jacksonville Cardinals,
that's
and
right.
his son
Son's
is
playing.
playing defensive back. So
about that?
there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am old now. Good.
Speaking of those teams, you mentioned J.R. Jones.
Hold on.
His-
We got a hard stop here, apparently. We've got to take a break here and get some things in. We're going to come right back to your thought.
Okay.
Keep that thought, okay?
All right.
We'll be right back on Sports Talk.
Yep.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Chris Rayner. Ashley Mosley, you had a question for
Well,
Chuck Martin for
yeah,
you.
you were talking about Sammy Rogers. He coached Jacksonville High School. He was defensive back for you. And now his son's playing defensive back for the Cardinals. And also, J.R. Jones' family has a legacy of football players there.
They sure do.
Trent, Trey, and now Tanner. And I know Tanner's going to be the biggest of them boys. And I think he's just
I think so.
I think he's just a sophomore.
That's right.
And he sort of reminds me of June, when June was about that age. You know, he still got at that age, a little baby fat on him, that sort of thing. But I think this guy's going to grow into an
He
absolute.
reminds me of his daddy. Just the way he runs, I couldn't believe it when I saw him out on the field. He runs
Yeah.
just like his daddy, but he is going to be a good
Slow.
one. But he gets the job done,
Yeah,
Coach.
that's right.
He gets
It's
the
not
job
slow,
done.
he's deliberate.
And he's not through growing.
But
is he?
let me add this also. Sammy played quarterback. He was my quarterback.
Yes, he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he played both ways.
I know one thing, boy. He's a good coach. I mean, up at Burlington Williams, I get on the sidelines, as you know, you're my sideline buddy, and have to block for me sometimes, keep
Yeah.
getting run over.
That's right.
You got to keep your head on the swivel on that side.
Sammy had to come to Jesus meeting with them DBs up at Burlington and Williams up there. Man, he let them know where he stood with them and told them, you know, what they needed to do. And
Like the old song say, it was time to tighten up.
he didn't hold back, and I was proud of him.
Well, Coach, the old expression is if you see Cardinals, then it's somebody from your past coming back to visit you. So you've had some experience with Fayetteville 71st too, hadn't you?
I have.
Wasn't that the Eastern Finals the year?
That's
What
right.
you guys
Let
won?
me go back just a minute, Chris, if I could.
Sure.
You know, I was talking about those former players who were on that team that went to the state championship, and those players just made me so proud because of their hard work ethic and determination to win. But I want to tell you about Jerry Brown. Coach Jerry Brown was my defensive coordinator, and Jerry just did a fantastic job for us. Unfortunately, he got cancer during that playing year, and he missed the last 6 games. Yes. But he did a tremendous job in preparing our kids and getting them ready for that event. But yes, just like the Cardinals, we played 71st at 71st, and was
So
fortunate.
was that 71st also?
Yes, and we were fortunate to come away with a victory. I think it was 24-17, if I remember correctly. I'm probably not right, but anyway, I do know we won the game.
That's what counts. That's what
That was
counts.
the important thing.
And Coach, you're no stranger to the old state championship realm too. What was the first year you helped coach at Southwest?
2002, and then the next year's was our 16-0 when we played. 2003, we played Burlington Cummings.
The greatest show on turf.
Yeah.
That's what they called him.
Was that Chucky Burnett when he played?
No, it was Bo Williamson, wasn't it?
Yes,
Wasn't that name of it?
Bo Williamson.
It was a kid that had never lost a high school or middle school or JV football game. Had never lost all those years. They coming off back-to-back state championships, I think, weren't they? And both teams undefeated. So yeah, that was a monster game. Now we're gonna talk a little bit more. We're gonna finish up the show with all Cardinal stuff, high school football stuff, and talk about our prognosticators. Some
Right.
are doing well, some are not. But before we do, we want to get this day in sports. Have you got your copy, everybody? What we'll do, I'll read the first one, then we'll go around Coach McLeod, then Coach Martin, and then Coach Mosley.
There you
will be
go.
next. So all this stuff happened on December 13th, not necessarily Friday, December 13th, but December 13th at one time or another. Started off in 1931, the National Football League Championship. The Green Bay Packers, 12-2-1, won their third straight NFL. Well, it wasn't an NFL championship then. It was whatever championship it's called. The Super Bowl came about around 68 or so.
Yeah, a little bit later.
66.
But a lot of people don't realize that there was teams that won a lot of championships that I guess those still count as championships. Obviously, they're just not called Super Bowl titles.
Right.
And Green Bay was certainly no stranger to that run there.
Neither was the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they won a bunch of them in the earlier days too.
1936 National Football League Championship, Polo Grounds in New York City. The Green Bay Packers beat the Boston Redskins 21-6. The Packers' fourth title. The Redskins moved to Washington, D.C. for the 1937 season.
I didn't realize that the Redskins originated out of Boston. I never knew that before.
I did not either. That's
not
a
aware.
first for me
You
as
have
well.
to be a Redskin fan to know that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And on Friday the 13th, 1956, Dodgers trade Jackie Robinson to the Giants for pitcher Dick Littlefield and $35,000. What a mistake.
Yeah.
Robinson will retire rather than be traded.
Wow.
So apparently that was later in his career. Then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, 1960, Italy beats United States in Davis Cup. First time in 24 years, United States not in the finals of the Davis Cup.
And the Davis Cup is
Tennis.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Little known as tennis. In 1969, Major League Manager Billy Martin was fired by the Minnesota Twins. I think maybe one of his 27 firings over the years, and then he was hired 27 times.
By
Brought back
George
and forth.
Steinbrenner.
Yeah, mostly by Steinbrenner. That's right.
1983, 9,655. See the highest scoring NBA game. Detroit 186, Denver 184. Went to 3 overtimes.
Man, it was like that last night, wasn't it?
No-
That sounds like an all-star game.
No
they had.
defense, is there?
Yeah, an all-star. the NBA's had the knock for not having defense for
yeah.
the last few years. But have you ever seen an NBA All-Star game? It's painful to watch.
It is.
Man.
It really
I
is.
can't even sit there and watch.
3 minutes and I'm turning the
There
channel.
is no defense.
None.
All right, in 1991, Ricky Pierce for Seattle ends NBA free throw streak of 75 games.
Okay.
That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
It really is. 1996, free agent Roger Clemens signs with the Toronto Blue Jays. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so. No. I think it's the hang up over the steroid issue.
Right, I got you. Okay.
But you talk about one of the nastiest pitchers ever was Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
Somebody that
He was
wanted to
tough.
win, that was Roger Clemens.
He was tough.
All right, in 1998, President's Cup golf at Royal Melbourne Golf Club. The international team wins for the first time. Oh, good Lord, let me give you this world. Seiji Haki Mariami, Seiji Giki Mariami,
That's
and
good.
Steve
That's
Elkington,
good. Yeah.
unbeaten versus the internationals, beat the U.S. 20.5 to 11.5. So they didn't only just beat them, they laid a whooping to them. That's a lot of points in match play.
In 2007, the Mitchell Report is publicly released, listing the names of 89 Major League Baseball players that had presumably used anabolic steroids and human growth hormones. Notable players' names include Roger Clemens, Miguel Tejada.
Didn't answer my
and
question right
the
there.
list goes on.
Yeah, there's Clemens right there.
Right.
All right, in 2015, 81st Heisman Trophy Award went to running back Derrick Henry of Alabama.
And he's still getting it nowadays. Wouldn't you love to be on them train tracks with that train coming through
No,
the middle?
I would not want to be a defensive back and that stiff arm coming.
They're tough.
All right, let's see. 2015, Irishman Conor McGregor knocks out Brazilian Jose Aldo in 13 seconds to win his first featherweight title in Las Vegas.
And then he had that famous, who was it, Conor McGregor? Was
Floyd
stepping in the
Mayweather.
Boxing green. Yeah,
Floyd
yeah.
Mayweather.
And
Mayweather.
boxing's a whole different game than it is UFC fighting.
Yeah.
It's funny the things people will pay to watch. What was the latest one? Tyson and some guy that was just
Jake
basically
Paul.
internet.
I stayed up till 2 o'clock to watch that.
Did you see it?
I saw it.
Was it worth watching?
No.
I've seen so many people say that they saw like Tyson get ready to throw a punch and stop it when it was wide open, almost like there was some kind of little agreement there, not to just just knock his head off.
Now, the agreement
Obviously,
is
his age hurt him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have that speed at that age, Anyway.
All
All
right,
right,
in
go ahead.
2022, Washington Capitol Center, Alex Ovechkin scores a hat trick in a 7-3 win of the Chicago Blackhawks to join Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe as the only players in NHL history to score 800 goals. Ovechkin is probably going to overtake Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal record. Gretzky will still have nowhere near way more points than anybody ever
Right.
get because you get a point for an assist also. But Ovechkin, he's been playing for the last 65 years, it
Yeah.
seems like. The Russian bear.
Yes.
All right, let's finish up with well, first of all, let's talk about our prognosticators.
But
We're gonna
before
talk
we get
about our
started,
extras.
I just got a phone call from somebody. One of
He
our
ain't
experts.
talking smack already, is it?
Yeah, Jerry Allen called me. I apologize, guys, for having to take this phone call, but he's really excited about the Cardinals. He's already done some research on 71st. He says that they're a lot like Jacksonville. They can run it and throw it, run sort of the same offense, and talented on defense. There's going to be a lot of red because their colors are red like the Cardinals, and they're the Falcons. So Jerry went on to tell me that the prognostication competition is over with. He's going to win. There's no way in the world anybody can catch him. And I told him, I said, well, Jerry, I said, I think what we're going to need to do for everybody to have a chance is to let Rayner include the teams in the Western region on the games. He said, oh, no, we can't do that, man. He said,
So it is said.
we
so
didn't do it
is
last
done.
year, so we got to go by the
No,
same
we
rules.
did
we
last
did.
year. I think we did.
Yeah, I know we did
I
the
know we
state
did state
championship
championship
game.
games. Obviously, the Western teams are there, but there's only 4 games. If you just do the East, there's only 4 games. So I think we'll add the West, make it 8 games. Then, of course, next week there'll only be 4 for the state championship.
He went 8-0 last
He
week.
did, man. He killed it last
The
week.
impressive.
Cardinals won, and he has invented. We're gonna let it out right here, Hollywood, on the Sports Talk Show, buddy.
Yeah.
Jerry has invented that dance that he demonstrated for us on the stoop last week. Remember seeing it?
Yeah.
I think the stoop is a good place for him to dance.
Well,
if you know what I mean.
He has named it the Cardinal Shuffle.
We definitely have to get that on TikTok for the youngsters.
Video of that.
TikTok.
On the
Can't
stoop.
wait to see it.
Well, last week's game were Pender at Tarboro. Of course, Tarboro rolled in that one. Lakewood at Wilson Prep. I think Wilson Prep beat
They
them pretty
did.
handily, too. James Keene at Northeastern. Northeastern's a tough place to go, as you know. You go to the end of the earth, hang a right, and it's right there.
I
across
think
from
I've
the
been up
Golden
there
Corral.
3 times to play those people. And
That's
it
a
is
long
tough,
way to go, buddy.
tough stadium to play in.
And the bad thing is, they used to be in a weaker conference to where they always had the higher record. To where I don't think Northeastern's ever come down this way to play anybody, have they?
They've not come to Onslow County.
Not that I know of.
I've told Tony that I've never lost to him. Now, Charlie and those guys have, but
Yeah.
we beat them.
Because there was a time where we were, where Southwest was like 2 or 3-0 against Northeastern, going up there, including one game that didn't get a lot of press because it was at Northeastern. It was, of course, a late game by the time all the stats came in. They had the number 1 running back in the state. Remember that?
Yes.
Jerron McNeil went on to play at East Carolina.
We held
Southwest held him to 37
Yeah,
yards.
held him pretty
And
good.
he had
God.
over 2,000 for the
Defense,
season.
defense,
I think it was like a
defense.
16-14 slobber knocker, wasn't it? Yeah, great game. Then Kinston, the run has come to an end, Ashley. Your boys from up at Kinston.
Who beat them? I forget.
Whiteville. Played
Yeah,
that.
okay. Well, the run's going to come to an end for Whiteville tonight, too,
At
in
Northeastern,
Elizabeth
you
City.
think?
Yeah, I think
don't know.
so.
Whiteville's got a pretty good team this year.
I know, but
It'll be a good game, probably. So in the 2 we've already talked about, you got Tarboro hosting Wilson Prep in the 1A East. You got
Tarboro.
Northeastern hosting Whiteville in the 2A East. Then we're going to save the 3A for last, the best for last. You got Roseville was at Cleveland last week. Cleveland, the number 1 seed. Wake Forest, Roseville, though, just because they weren't the number 1 seed, they're battle tested.
And
They
Carter
won
Gibbons has already beat Roseville one time this year, one
have
point in
they?
overtime. Yeah.
Well, Roseville beat Cleveland, of course. Hogger,
Bad.
who we were hoping from our
Bad.
area would have won. They went to Cardinal Gibbons and lost.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ever been to Cardinal Gibbons High School before?
I haven't.
They're
by
brilliant because you know where they're located?
Right across the street from the football.
Across from Lenovo Center, old PNC Arena. So they donate at a fee a lot of parking to the Wolfpack and the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money doing that. That's a brilliant place to put a high school. So Cardinal Gibbons won. They'll be playing. I think they host Roseville this week.
Yeah,
I think
they
that'd
do.
be right.
Yeah.
No, it's at Cardinal Gibbons. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cardinal
Yeah.
Gibbons does host Roseville.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jacksonville at 71st. Looking at those games, of course, Jacksonville dispatched Havelock. They beat the dreaded Hun up at Havelock. And J.H. Rose, their Cinderella story, being 2-8 to get that deep in the playoffs.
30th seed. in
That's a
these.
great testament to that conference.
That is.
And coaching. Turning around, they lost in the 4th round of the Eastern Finals.
Yep. At 71st, they lost. Coach, you remember one year, I believe it was 2004, when the East Central had the Final 4 in the East.
Yeah.
And the very next year, they started pairing you up with somebody from your conference. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you had several from one conference, they try to play you with somebody else to kind of weed you out before the end of the year. But that's a testament to Jacksonville's conference. That what is it, Big Carolina 3A, 4A?
Yeah.
To have 2 teams that late in the game, late in the year. Actually, 3
Three
teams.
of them.
Because one beat the other. Yeah.
Right.
Jacksonville beat Havelock.
That's right.
And all those were the 3A versions, too. So it's going to be interesting this week, looking at this week's matchups we already talked about. I'm just going to go around and let everybody take a shot at these 4. Wilson Prep at Tarboro.
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 Yeah.
Tarboro.
The tradition rolls on.
Yeah.
All right. This one might be more of a toss-up here. Whiteville at Northeastern. I'll be honest with you. I've seen some Whiteville scores and seen them on the Channel 6 News and Channel 3 News, and they look pretty good.
James Keenan beat them.
Beat,
Beat Whiteville
they did? Mm-hmm. I didn't know they played them this
in
year.
the playoffs or in the
Regular season, I think. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know.
So Whiteville at Northeastern, what's y'all's call?
Oh man.
I think that was a toss-up.
I'm gonna say Whiteville because of that offense that JP and his dad Joey Price is there with him.
Oh, I didn't know Joey Price was there. now.
Yeah, and to stop the passing attack of Kinston like they did in the second half, I think they've got a really good shot.
I'd love to see them knock them off. What
I
do you
believe
think?
Northeastern because they're going to be at home.
I
think they'll
I
be
do too.
Victorious.
I don't know if you've
That's the only
never
reason I'm
had
picking
the
at home.
blessing to sit in the visiting stands at Northeastern. They have a group every game that sits in the visiting stands from their side. Adults. Remember what I'm talking about? There's about 50 of them, and they sit right amongst us and raise Cain the whole game. And you go and you complain about it, and they say, well, they can sit where they want to. Luckily, most times we go up there and would beat them. But the last couple of years, it was a little more difficult. All right, so saving the best two for last. You got Rolesville. Wake Forest Rolesville, what have they won? 2 or 3 state titles in the last couple of years? They're at Cardinal Gibbons. That's going to be a tough one to call. I'm going with Rolesville, though. I just think they're battle-tested. What you think?
I'm going with
Coach
Roseville
Mosley.
too, because they maybe got a little chip on the shoulder. Because like I said, Cardinal Gibbons has already beat them one
I
time this
think
year.
Roseville also.
Got it too.
All right. And then, of course, Jacksonville at 71st. Everybody got the Cards in that game?
The Cards.
Absolutely.
I just think they're playing really well on a mission. They're road warriors, man. Every game except for one has been on the road.
That's the way we were
Yeah.
when we played 71st. All but one. We played Kinston.
And it's so funny
First,
about the
first game at home, and the rest of the games were on the road. in the
That's when the
playoffs.
man caught the pass out in the flat down here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yep,
in '94.
I think so.
And then this year the Cardinals had their first game at home, right?
Against you?
Who?
Oh, you talking about playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, West Carteret was
First game was
at
at home, and then of course went on the road, and then the next game at home against
Right.
Cape
Cape
Fear, and
Fear.
then back on the road. So they got a blessing to get that one, home game extra.
Right.
Because a lot of times you don't get that. The higher
They were
seeds,
fortunate
lower
to
seeds.
get past Burlington Williams. They only led 57 seconds of the ball game. That was the last 57 seconds.
Yeah, that's the most important time to lead the ball game.
Yeah, but they play good, and again, I think they got an outstanding defensive football coach, and a running back that comes along every 20 years, something like that. So I think everything.
Sometimes longer than that, Ashley.
Oh yeah, people don't know how
Seriously.
difficult it is to get
Running
in this
back like that,
position
yeah.
to be able to play in the Eastern Finals, and how hard them boys worked all year to get there. I mean, you got to be
It could be
fortunate.
a lifetime of the high school to have a
It sure
unique
could.
running back
Yeah,
like that.
Right,
That is a good coaching staff.
it really is.
And imagine taking a running back to Calro June and putting him somewhere like Tarboro in a 1A school. Remember they had
Todd
Todd
Gurley,
Gurley,
yeah.
They had Gurley was a whole nother level. What, he win 4 state championships in a row at Tarboro? That's just amazing. I mean, granted they were 1A, and I think they bounced between 1A and 2A there.
I was
but-
very disappointed he went to Georgia.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I think everybody wanted to go to Carolina.
That's right.
But he just went out of state, broke our hearts. As it happens a lot. Okay, we've said the name Carolina. Is Bill Belichick coming to Carolina? I've heard he's also applied at Southwest too. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, that's a toss-up.
So you think Bill's coming to Carolina? I've heard.
I do. I
there's
think he-
about
I
a
think he will.
400-page thing that. Have you heard that? That there's like a 400-page
No.
document been submitted with his list of what he wants.
The only thing I disagree with that I've heard is that his son gets the job once he leaves.
I had heard that,
and
too.
I don't think that's right.
No.
I just don't think you can
No, sir. That's
walk
no,
someone
that's,
in and
that's
say
too
you're
much
going to be the
I don't
next
think
coach.
it should be guaranteed. Now,
No,
granted,
he might earn that position.
it's
Right.
the natural progression if he's his offensive coordinator or whatever, assistant head coach, whatever, and does really good under Belichick there. Then of course when Belichick retires, he'd probably be the
Well,
natural
you
heir anyway.
you got to take in consideration this too. There's no guarantee if he takes the job, he's going to be successful.
That's true.
Sure.
It's still football,
Sure.
and it's a whole different animal at the college level than it is at the professional level, especially with the NIL,
Yeah,
the
the whole-
booster club.
The Mooney.
Well,
that
what
said-
name is still in the Carolina? What coach is in the running other than
I hadn't heard,
Belichick?
hadn't heard
I've
about
heard
Now.
Jeff Saturday before, but I don't
I've
think
heard
it's
that
Jeff
too.
still-
Saturday.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that name mentioned.
Wow. I mean,
Then of course I think a lot of the Carolina folks were after the guy from Tulane.
yeah. Well, they were after the offensive coordinator for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Was it?
And the head coach of Tulane was another one.
Yeah.
I've heard one more name,
What?
Nick Saban.
Really?
That's what I've heard.
I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
Nick
so.
and Chapel Hill.
That's what I've heard.
Hey, Nick Saban's going anywhere. He's going to coach for the Mountaineers, the West
Virginia
Virginia
Mountain-
University Mountaineers.
That's where he's from.
That's right.
That's
You
right.
think he would go back there?
Well, I think he's finished with coaching, but yes, I do. He coached there when he first started at West Virginia, coached the secondary.
Well, it's going to be interesting. There's a we're in jest. We said he's applied for the Southwest job. Coach, what can you tell us about the opening at Southwest? You heard any scuttlebutt there on who all's applied? Obviously, Zach Garvey, the JV coach, I know is going to apply.
Well, he's done well with the JV
He
team,
has
hasn't
done
he?
very
Good
well.
job.
Yeah. We were talking about coaches. Obviously, Coach McLeod is great at breaking down film. Another one that does that is Coach Bob Sanders, coach with Green Bay and stuff. And I remember Zach, after I had Bob Sanders on the show, Coach Sanders the first time, he said, man, you got to give me his number. And he's been picking his brain as like a mentor And you talk about somebody else that can break down film too is Bob Sanders.
Sure.
You know, defensive guys, Coach McLeod. I'll be up there in the press box doing, you know, my PA duties and music duties for the game, and I'll hear him over there calling the play out. He's like Luke Kuechly used to be down on the field. The only difference is he's not down on the field.
Is Coach McLeod done with coaching? I mean, he's got a Southwest bloodline.
I asked him earlier. He said,
I'm done with
I did the
He's
same
done.
thing. I asked him if he had any interest. I think he'd do a great job
That's-
for them.
that's-
Well, y'all
that's
got a
past
little
my time.
edge. You got a little edge down there with the man that's playing the music on the PA system because he'll play it during the plays. For the other teams that run the plays, he plays the music during the
"I
play.
don't play during the play. It stops when the snap starts, not during the play."
He got all the tricks, ain't you,
But
buddy?
I'll be sitting there and I'll be listening, especially like during a JV game where he's closer over, and man, he's calling out what player you're ready to run. And so, yeah, great mind on seeing that stuff. Talking about Luke Kuechly, who played for the Panthers, of course.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
linebacker.
Great linebacker, had that motor, had everything, and he had the head for it too. Because I remember hearing so many quarterbacks saying, "Man, he's calling out my play that we're getting ready to run, and they're shifting to where we want to run."
Yeah.
He just knew the game. It wouldn't surprise me to see him become a head coach. someday.
Who's this?
Luke Kuechly.
Luke Kuechly.
Interestingly enough, we talked about it, I think on the podcast. I don't know if we mentioned it here, but there's a middle school in Charlotte area that has Luke Kuechly, Greg Olson, and Jonathan Stewart as the
Coaches.
coaches.
Wow.
Because their kids all play for the team.
Right.
I don't know if Luke has a kid, but the other two children play for the team. And of course, Luke's helping with them, you know,
It's a middle school.
middle school. And believe it or not, they lost their first game when they played. With that coaching staff, yeah.
I was going to say West Charlotte is playing in the finals in the West part of state in the 3A division. I
Well, I'm
forget
gonna
who
put
they
that on
play.
here. You've inspired me. I'm gonna add those 4 to make it a little
better
more.
read, 'cause
well, to make it a
everybody
little
else
more
already made the
interesting.
picks, you know.
People have to do their homework a little bit on the West,
Yeah.
other than knowing schools with tradition from
Now
the West.
Jerry, I found out Jerry, buddy, he does research this
Oh, he
stuff.
does?
Oh my
See,
God.
that'll play right into his hands because
Oh
he does
yeah.
his research.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody goes 8-0 last week, piece of cake for him.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you guys want to add for the game coming up? Obviously, we won't get Hollywood to give us the details again for tonight. Go ahead and do that now, Hollywood. What's the details, airtime, and what we're doing, where we're going to be at?
Well, Ashley and I and the crew will arrive very early
Very early.
to get things prepped for the
Are you
big
going to hit
game,
Fuller's Barbecue on the way?
for the big broadcast.
What's the name of that place?
Fuller's Barbecue.
Where is it?
In Fayetteville.
No, we know nothing about the food down there, but we'll take that under advisement.
That's
Jerry
that's
said he
a
was
good
bringing
stuff.
some. Jerry said he was going to bring some food tonight. 3 pizzas, I believe. So Jerry,
Oh, cool. All right.
there you are, buddy. We need something to eat.
So we'll get there early to set up for the big broadcast. And let's see, tonight everything gets underway at 7 o'clock, a little bit later than normal, but the pregame is 7 o'clock. And the kickoff's at 7:30. You can catch it all here if you're not going to make it to the game on Freedom 97.1, wherever you are. You're on the couch, you're on your phone, WSME971.com, 71st Falcons, and the Jacksonville Cardinals. Battle Royale for the East Regional Playoff
The Bird Bowl.
Championships and the State
Bird Bowl.
3A State High School Football Championship. If we win tonight, we head on to the state championships. Be this next Saturday, the 22nd, I believe,
Yep.
at
Carter Finley Stadium.
NC State. Yep. So there you go.
I'd like to thank Coach Martin coming on again. He's my sideline buddy. We get on the sidelines and we go with the chain gang, don't we, Coach?
We'll do that. Wherever the ball is,
wherever
we
that
are.
ball's at, we're right there. And
But I want to say good luck to the Cardinals tonight, man. I wish them the best.
thank you very much. I'd like to take this time also. Hopefully I can do it again next week. But I want to thank our sponsors. It's Christmas time. Please spend your money with these local people.
I'm going to let you do the
They're-
sponsor list. That's
They're
that is
they're,
fraud
they're not
first.
big box stores. They're people that are a big part of the community. And before I mention them, I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and thank you, Chris Hollywood man, for doing what you do. He throws this thing together. Takes a lot of preparation. He's very professional
He's
about
our,
it. Does
he's
an
our
outstanding
festive
job.
elf.
He really
Oh,
is.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyway, the following people make this possible here at WSME, and we certainly appreciate it. Our sponsors are National Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Thank you, Harry Brown, Ryan Brown, Robbie Yates, and Chris Hines and the crew over there. The law offices of John Drew Warlick. I might say they're probably the oldest law firm in Onslow County. They've been around 75 years.
John Drew's been around a long time.
Yeah, 90 years old, as a matter of fact.
I remember he got me out of
And
a
still
he
goes
got
to
me out of
work.
a ticket in 1953.
Now you just threw him under the bus.
I went around in
He's 90 years old and still going to work. CNS Paint, Ron Shuck, Victory Case, thank you very much. Onslow County Motor Company, hadn't seen Ben in a while, but hope I'm run by there soon and catch up on the racing and
Oh,
what's
he's
going on.
flying high now as Clemson Tigers won the
They got in the tournament, didn't
ACC championship.
they? Second field goal. That's right.
Oh, that kid kicked the crap out of that ball too. Did y'all see that game?
Mm-hmm. I saw the end of it.
58-yarder.
Also, the Clemson Tigers are in the top 25 in basketball, which is a rarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
Knocked
about
off
that?
Kentucky.
Way to go, Clemson. Sandra Fountain, Lisa Thornton, they're at Fountain Management. They make owning and running your property management easy. No hassles. They take care of all of it for you. So you got some property you need managing, get in touch with Fountain Management, Sandra Fountain, Lisa Thornton. Our old buddy Jerry Allen, Jeff Allen, there at Wismart, Chappie Chicken, Great Gas and Oil. Bobby and Louise Williams, thank you very much. Bartley Insurance Services, Bill Mercer, had high hopes for Richlands Wildcats. That program has turned around. I know he's a little bit disappointed, as is Coach Bird, to getting deeper into playoffs, but I think they're headed in the right direction.
Yep.
Humphrey Heating and Air Conditioning, Tommy Duff, thank you, buddy. Rock Creek Golf and Country Club, Rick Morton, again, I'm gonna give a plug for him being in the Onslow County Sports Hall of Fame. We just can't keep putting it on the back burner. Somebody needs to get on with that. Billy Sewell, thank you very much at the Golden Corral. He sponsored the Christmas parade. We appreciate you pitching in and helping with that, Billy. It's always good seeing you at the games. And, of course, he's got a location up there in Greenville and Greenville Boulevard as well. Lane and Associates Family Dentistry, I don't think there's a family in Onslow County that has supported Jacksonville High School longer than Drs. Tommy Kim Morgan and Dr. Ken Morgan, the patriarch of that family. They've been doing it for years, and we certainly appreciate your help here at WSME. Jones Onslow EMC, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative. Thank you, Steve Goodson and Christopher Phillips, for those great commercials that you do. Southern Touch Painting, it's in the past now, been a couple months ago, but people from Jacksonville appreciate what Roger Carroll did to Southern Touch Painting, and basically it's put Jacksonville, North Carolina, probably on the map in the western part of the state, helping those folks out there with the hurricane. Barnes Diamond Gallery just left Lindsay there. They got a great selection of jewelry. Some of it's on sale. Well, actually, most of it's on sale, to be honest with you. I think they got
Christmas time.
Christmas time. Bayshore Animal Hospital, again, their new location for Dr. Gina Francis and Timothy Pearson is at 623 East Abbotston Drive, right there in Swansboro. We already mentioned the hurricane report. Thank you to Jason Humphrey. And thank you, Billy Griffith, feeding this crowd every Friday
That's good stuff.
with BLTs, cheeseburgers, Billy Bowls, and now Rainer's put you on the spot.
Yeah.
We're going to start wanting some chili.
He's told me they're going to start doing some
chili.
chili and some homemade vegetable beef soup.
Good.
I need
good.
both of those this week to get rid of
And
this
some
frog in my
crackers.
throat.
Thank
Now,
you to Coach
guys,
Dave McLeod for coming
Yes,
on,
sir.
buddy. It's always good seeing you
Enjoyed
again.
it.
Been a while, and you too, Coach Martin.
you,
Merry,
Ashley.
Merry Christmas
Merry
to both of you
Christmas.
guys.
And before we go, I want to get one last word from our two great coaches with us today. Coach Martin, favorite game you've ever coached? That's tough. I know. I should have gave you a little more warning.
Probably the 71st game to get us into the state
The Eastern
championship,
Finals
honestly.
in '94.
Yes.
Just
it
one of
was
those games that you
tremendously
look back
exciting.
and remember great moments and great
Absolutely.
thoughts from it. How about you, Coach?
Oh, wow. I would say the James Keenan
Oh, yeah.
semifinal game that put us in the state championship,
2012.
2012. They landed.
I've got one more, Chris.
Landed the helicopter
Oh, yeah.
I remember
on the
that.
field.
That was the Eastern Finals, and all
Should've
that
done
dormant
that, should've.
grass, and somebody thought it was a great idea to land a helicopter and have the mascot pop out, which it did a great thing because it ticked the Southwest players off. I think it put a little more fire in them than usual, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That other one I was going to tell you about was coaching at my alma mater. I got to coach against West Virginia University when I was at Ohio University.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
And
you were the
that was
Bobcat
tremendous-
coach for a while.
Tremendously exciting. Yes, I was.
How about it?
Now they won the MAC this year,
They
didn't
did.
they? Yeah.
And they
saw
lost their
that.
coach this week.
You talk about some entertaining football. MAC football is fun to watch.
It is.
And the best thing about it is it comes on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. At the later part of the year when there's no football those nights.
And gives us 6 days of football on
That's
TV.
Well, the Cardinals
you
got
so
some
much, guys.
unfinished. They got some unfinished business, and I hope to keep playing with a chip on the shoulder. And we wish them the very best tonight. We look forward to
All
it.
right, you gonna lead everybody in the cheers we go?
Go Cards!
Go Cards.
Absolutely. Go